Evening, everybody. It's 6:08 on the 11th of April. And I'm going to get on my soapbox here for a few minutes because I'm thoroughly disgusted with the information that has come out on CNBC and I assume other places about the people who were basically members of Congress and the Senate who traded around the bank stocks knowing exactly what was going to happen. Several of them actually bought uh, the New York bank that got a big piece of this and made plenty of money. They were also sellers of SIVB, the symbol, as it was collapsing, and they knew. So, uh, first of all, it's a disgrace. And second of all, as a way of dealing with it, I think that any member of Congress or the Senate should have to conform with SEC Rule 16B. And for those of you who don't know what that is, it's called the short swing rule. And that's primarily for officers and insiders in public companies. And they have to hold their position for 6 months. If they don't, then the profits have to be disgorged to the company, back into the treasury. And from that point of view, um, if they were disgorged, I couldn't care less where the money actually goes, but it shouldn't go in their pockets. It's a disgrace that we let them get along with this. It's similar to those of you who remember, since it's quite a while ago, that Refco, the commodity trading house, took $10,000 to six figures for Hillary Clinton. This is no different. It's not, it's disgraceful and it should not be allowed. So, that said, here is what we had today. We had a market that was up around 200 at its high, closed up 98 or just under 0.3% in the Dow. And we had a NASDAQ that was down about 100 that closed down 52.48 or 0.43. Internals were about 2.7 to 1 on the NYSE and 1.5 to 1 or 3 to 2 on the NASDAQ. The S&P was basically unchanged. It was down 17 cents. The Russell did a little better, up 14 and change, or 0.8%. And the transports were the big winner, up 163.12 or 1.15. Volume did pick up. It's still below average, but 4.6 billion is certainly more in the ballpark. So, it looks like I'm possibly, even probably, wrong on the oil, as we still haven't broken back above the high. So going back to the daily, we still haven't come out of this on the top. And my feeling is it's probably going to come out of it on the bottom. Uh, you know, I have not had, we have a small position in the SCO, which is the inverse. So a move to the downside would be great for us. I'm just not sure. Well, I know that we haven't come out of the top 81.69, 81.81 on the second day here. So, gaps in futures generally get filled. The other chart that I want to show you is the Bitcoin, which is really acting great. Um, and with it, it's taking a lot of the little ones, Riot, Mara, um, and we've come out of that. But again, it gapped here, came back and filled the gap, and then tested it again before finally breaking out over the last couple of days. I mean, this was a test of the low and was, just dead on the 100-day MA. So, I'm thinking that we could certainly get back to these highs around 32,000 without much effort here. Um, and so, besides the little ones, there's also Coinbase, which today was also higher. Okay, so as I said, the oil was up about almost $2, $1.78. Gold was up $15 after yesterday's decline. The dollar was down about a half a dollar, 50 cents at 101.88. Bonds were slightly lower, down 3/16. Silver was up 27, and that gas was up a penny, which is not bad when you consider how big a rally it had yesterday. It didn't give any of it back, but it did actually. Let me just take a quick look see here. Nat gas, it's up another 3 cents tonight. The markets have just reopened in the electronic session, but as you can see, let's make it a little easier to see. We're really trying. This was the first break of $2 in the futures, new contract low, and it reversed, pretty much the next day up 16. Yesterday up about 1.5, and tonight up about 3.5. So, we're definitely, you can see that the 5-day is rolling back to the upside. I'd be very surprised if we could get through 2.75, 275, but we'll have to see. Okay, some of the stocks that we were looking at this morning, Weight Watchers, which was up a dollar and change on the fact that they completed their acquisition in the telehealth market, and Goldman Sachs looked at that and raised their price from they made it a buy and raised their price from 380, where it actually traded last week, and raised it to 13. So we closed 655, up 243 or 59% today. And I think there may be more on the upside there. Zero Fox, the one that I mentioned this morning, um, they had a nice move. The stock has gone from 1565 down to 96 cents, and this morning, though it had closed the day before yesterday, around $1.62, and this morning we were looking at it at 293. It did not hold that for the whole day, and I will tell you exactly what the old story. Oh, this is the company that has a deal with Google. They've partnered with Google Cloud to disrupt phishing attacks and malicious URLs. So it did close up on the day, but certainly not as much as it was this morning. It closed pretty close to the low at $1.99, up 34 cents or 21%. After, as I said, went from 270 back down to $1.98. So, while it's up in the last couple of weeks from 96 cents, it did close on the low. Other things that were in view today, we had CarMax, which this morning we were talking about at 70.61, up 4 and change, actually made it to 72.21, up 6 and change, or 9.6% on their beat. Excuse me. And the thing that's bothering me here, first of all, we have CPI tomorrow. I consider PPI the next day more important, and the explanation is simple. CPI is the consumer price index, but PPI is the producer price index. And when somebody produces it, it goes through more sets of hands. So the producer has to pay X for whatever it takes to make the product. Then it goes to a wholesaler. Then it goes to a store, a grocery store, a clothing store, whatever it is. So there's an extra markup there. So tomorrow's CPI is important, but I think Thursday's PPI is actually more important. The outstanding thing here is the fact that, as my friend uh, Dennis always reminds me, um, you can't win the battle until you get to the generals. And frankly, the generals have been very weak. Just looking at the Fang stocks, um, we had Meta down 90 cents today, which was the F for Facebook. Apple down $1.23, Amazon down 2.25, Netflix down 6.50, and Google down 1.12. And looking at all of my sectors, the only ones that were actually mixed to lower were defense stocks, AI stocks were higher, pot stocks were lower, work from home stocks were lower, infrastructure stocks were lower, airline and cruise lines up, uh, retail slightly higher but mixed, and the biopharma, which was down yesterday, actually up slightly today. So there you have it. I'll be back first thing in the morning with that CPI information. And, you know, these jackasses that are supposed to be representing us, you need to write a letter to them. You need to be proactive, or they're just going to keep on doing this crap. And we would be in jail in a heartbeat if we did any of it. I'll be back in the morning.